Okay. Yeah, there is a...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the school committee meeting of September 12th, 2016. First on tonight's agenda is acceptance of the meeting minutes of August 22nd, 2016. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
That's a vote.
Not here.
Thank you very much. Seeing nothing under communications, under audience, I know we have some very interesting and special people here with us tonight. Dr. Cron?
Yes, I would like to invite Ms. Bond to the podium.
I would like to invite Jared Allen and Greta Russo to come on up and stand right here next to me. Jared and Greta both attended our Mass Maritime program this summer, the Mass Maritime Summer Academy, which is a very prestigious honor for our kids. In 7th grade, the teachers and administration pick students who are leaders, who are scholars, who have an interest in science and a real interest in learning beyond the regular school year. They attended for 3 weeks, and I'm going to give them a second if you have any questions to answer, but we are extremely, extremely proud to bring them here today for Dr. Cron and the school committee to congratulate them.
So, I got to meet Jared yesterday at the One Book, One School. So, and we actually stumbled into talking about Mass Maritime program. We are very, very proud of you representing us at Mass Maritime for the summer program. And can you tell us just a little bit about what you did? Maybe you have one favorite memory?
Well, my favorite thing about Mass Maritime was probably the social aspect of the place, especially every night at the floor meeting, because that was the time when most of my friends, we would all kind of come together and play games, play cards, and we'd talk about our day. We went to classes over the 3 weeks. We had some sort of trip to do at the end of every day. There was always a pod activity that we did, so I liked it. It was fun.
Greta?
Good.
My favorite part would probably be going to the classes and just meeting all these new people, because going there, a lot of the people knew each other from school, and I just didn't really know anyone. And I just got to make all these new friends and hang out with them every day and learn all these new things that I would never learn just in school.
Excellent. Well, we were very proud of you, Greta. Congratulations. Here, I'll shake with my right and pass with my left. There you go. I learned that in school. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We were very proud of both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Great job.
Good job,
Good job.
No, I don't have it.
So we're really happy for Greta and Jared that they had that opportunity, and I can see that we had some really great representation down there at Mass Maritime. Great job, guys. Your parents should be really proud of you. Thank you very much. All right. Next on tonight's agenda, we have our superintendent's report. Dr. Cron.
Thank you. Well, first, I would like to report the Rogers Middle School had a very successful One Book, One School event yesterday that I had the pleasure of taking part in. So I'd like to, Thursday, and I'd like to congratulate Janet Cook and the entire middle school faculty and staff for having an incredible One Book, One School. They read a book called Meet the Murphys, and it was, I had a great time meeting the 8th graders and talking to them, and it's my daughter looks forward to reading the book every year, so congratulations. It's quite a feat to pull off having the entire faculty, the entire staff, and the entire student body read the same book. So congratulations to them.
Good.
Busing at the beginning of the year is always a topic of discussion, but primarily when it doesn't go well. So this year's busing went extremely well, and I can tell you that Patty Penny and Colleen Forlizzi have done an incredible job making that happen. So I want to congratulate them. And for those who are still waiting on they're hoping for a spot on the buses on the waiting list, we're going to begin signing folks up for that this week. So be patient, please. This past week, I appointed Carla Dunn as our new representative for One Rockland. She's the going to be our advisor for that program. And no sooner had I done that than I received the news that the Chamber of Commerce has decided that this year's second annual Pizza Palooza, all of the proceeds are going to go to One Rockland this year. And we are very pleased. Last year, all of the proceeds went to support the Rockland Veterans Memorial, and we are just thrilled to be mentioned in the same sentence with that great endeavor, and very happy to have Carla on board, and really excited about this coming year and what we hope One Rockland will become.
So we have to advertise.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good idea. Yeah.
I want to point out also we've been working on a new website calendar system. So every school has its own Google Calendar, which is now funneling into one main calendar, and we're hoping that as the public and students begin to look at that calendar, it becomes more and more useful. I used to go to the page and you just have a blank calendar, and it always bothered me. So I'm very happy that we're making some progress there. So I invite everyone to take a second look or another look at our calendar, because I think it's becoming very practical and friendly, user-friendly. Also like to point out a very important event that's happening this Wednesday. We have a national expert on internet safety and internet policy in general, Ms. Katie Greer, and she is going to be presenting this Wednesday to all high school students and middle school students. And in the evening at 6:30 p.m. this Wednesday night, she will present an 18+, an adult parent-only presentation. And I urge you to take time to attend that. She is going to talk a lot about, you know, the forensics of the internet, which who would have thought, years ago I used to watch the show Quincy, and who would have thought we would be saying forensic and technology in the same sentence. But kids, what you put on the internet when you're a 9th grader, it does not disappear. And when you apply for colleges, you don't want it to pop up. So Ms. Greer is going to talk to parents about that in the evening. I encourage you to join us for that.
When is that going to happen, Doctor?
That is going to happen in the auditorium at Rockland High School, middle school auditorium.
And what time? 6:30?
6:30,
Yes.
yeah, 6:30. And I have some other things, but I'm going to save them for later because I see I have an opening of school report, so that's it.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Cron. Next on tonight's agenda, under reports, we have school newsletters from the Eston School, the Memorial Park School, and the middle school. All very well done. I really enjoy reading these. I pick up something new every time I read it. I mean, in Eston's newsletter this month was a note about music every day, where the kids come in and they listen to 3 to 5 minutes of classical music and learn a little bit about the composer every day. And I didn't know that, and I just think that that's such a great little thing for the kids to be doing. So great job on the newsletters.
We're still sharing those with each principal. Okay, good, thank you.
Great job, everybody, in putting them together. Thank you to all who put work into these newsletters. Coming up next on tonight's agenda, under old business, we have a request for approval. This is the second reading of Ron Larson's pre-calculus textbooks. Dr. Cron, anything to add?
I have nothing new to add. Do you have any questions for high school administration? Mr. Harrison is in the audience. Do you have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye, that is a vote. Next, under old business, we also have a request for approval of Ron Larson's Calculus of Single Variable AP Edition textbooks. And again, this is the second reading as well. Are there any questions, or do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
And under new business, Dr. Cron, we have the 2016 opening of school report.
Excellent. Well,
Good.
I'll work backwards and begin with kindergarten opening, because that was definitely one of the high points of my career, to see kindergartners coming off the bus for their first day of school. I figured out, I hope I'm not wrong, because that would be embarrassing, but I believe they are the class of 2029. So if you didn't feel old before, there's a great reason to feel old. The opening of school went extremely well. I always talk about school in two halves. There's the making the trains run on time, and then there's everything else that's really important, but none of that will happen unless the trains run on time. So there was a lot of work done over the summer in my office by the principals, the custodians, the maintenance workers, to make the opening of school smooth. And it really was a very, very smooth opening. So thank you to all the folks who worked so hard to make that happen. Kindergarten opening, we had 182 kindergartners join us for the first time last Tuesday, and we had people riding the buses with them, so administrators, Mrs. Penny, and a soon-to-be retired superintendent rode one of the buses, and really welcomed the kids to their first day of school, I think with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. They did a very, very fine job. Should I go on to enrollment as part of it?
I was here, I was at the Memorial Park, and then I came up to the middle school and then the high school, and you're right, it was just like, it was a regular school day. You know, it was no boo-ha-ha about anything. Everything seemed to be there. Kids went right in there and did their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really impressed.
Yeah. Class meetings at the high school. You know, watching the kids file in for their first meeting as a high school student to meet their new principal. Very exciting. Yeah. And so it's just a lot of positive energy. I think the administration has mentioned it to me during our meetings. Just a lot of really good hard work that's been done, and we see it paying off.
As a dad of one of those kindergartners who was showing up to Jefferson on the first day, it is really remarkable how well they're able to take all these kindergartners who have no idea what their teacher looks like, where their classroom is, what they're going to be doing for the day, and to be able to get them in line and have them feel comfortable and get them into class at 9 o'clock in the morning and have it go as seamlessly as it did. It was just, it was really a well-oiled machine, and it was something to see. And made me feel good as a parent, you know, seeing that my son was going to be going in and was in great hands right from the point that we pulled up to the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, you know, I had gone into Memorial Park because my grandson is going into first grade this year, and I was really impressed with the what had happened there, the transformation of, you know, the classrooms being built and the way the whole building looked. I took a walk around, and
Yeah.
it really came out nice.
I think we're seeing the effects of Mark Schaum's work, which I think needs to be acknowledged. He's been a tremendous addition to our staff and brings an incredible amount of knowledge, but also he's just work. So you see a lot of things getting done, and we're very, very fortunate to have him.
That's great. So you asked about segueing into the preliminary enrollment numbers. That is next on the agenda.
Excellent. So we currently have 2,239 students. I think the big news, or the thing to be most excited about, I think, is we were surprised at the amount of 8th graders that we retained. We have 193 in the 9th grade this year, and that's up from 145 last year. And I know we had that very large 8th grade class, but we did send quite a number to the VOC, and we still managed to increase our enrollment overall. The other, I think, really good news that we're looking at here is we now have far more balanced elementary schools as far as class size. So the work that Superintendent Retchless had done and the principals, I think, is going to pay off for our elementary students. I'm also very pleased to report that we have 46 school choice students joining us this year, which I think represents, because it's not the first year, it's the second year, numbers, we're starting to see people are staying. They come and they stay. And if we can carry that enrollment throughout the 12 years, we're going to see continued growth in the district. So I'm very pleased with that. And the high school is at 630 students, and when I arrived, I want to say we were in the 550s, and last year we were at 587. So seeing the high school at 630 students is a personal pleasure for me, because it's a great school, and I'm glad that people are recognizing that and coming.
And I think that's also true. I was talking to somebody had stopped me and said, you know, Rockland has some nice schools, they have really good schools, and they also have the school choice. Really, you know, we're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and actually, we have 22 choice kids at the high school, the most of any choice throughout the district. You'd think we'd have more at the elementaries, but we have 8 in kindergarten, 5 at the elementary, 11 at the middle school, and 22 at the high school.
The thing I'm happy about school choice is that here it's being done the right way. There are districts not too far from us where school choice is being used to recruit athletes and things like that.
Yeah.
Here, that's not the case. We bring them in from all walks of life. They all have their specialties, the glue that makes them stick here, their interest. And we're doing it the right way, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's great.
Couple
Fantastic.
questions.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Could we possibly get in a mailing what these numbers were from last year so we can compare?
Absolutely.
see what those
I have
numbers
them
are.
here. I can give them to you before we leave.
Okay. And I just had one question. Grade 2 in Eston,
Yep.
is there, I just see that there's 4 teachers in that grade, and in grade 4 with the same amount of kids, we're at 3. Was there a reason for that particularly? Is it the younger kids, or is it, it just seems like that's a really low class size compared to what everybody else is doing.
Well, off the top of my head, I would only say that that cohort moved from grade 1 to 2, so we don't have a lot of movement choice. It's not like we have a K1, 2, 3, and we can make nice even class sizes. But there may be more reasons for that I can find out and report to you. But some of it is if you're in the Eston district or the Memorial Park district, that's the number.
Yeah,
that
no,
we
no,
have.
I just, you know, I guess what I'm getting at more is in Memorial Park, grade 3 has 64 kids and we have 3 classes. But in Eston, we have 68 kids and we have 4 classes and only 3 classes in the 4th grade. I guess I'm, you know, we have to kind of watch
Yeah.
where those numbers break down. And so that, you know, that class size is down to 17, obviously significantly lower than anyone else, than any other class size.
And I can almost guarantee you that if I had, you know, John Rutschels's brain from the last 7 years, I'd be able to tell you exactly why. There may be inclusion, there may be,
Okay.
but I can tell you we've scrutinized. You know, we held off hiring the last kindergarten teacher. We're very conscious of the class size, particularly in kindergarten and 1st grade. But I will find out
Okay.
and give you some more
You were
feedback.
talking about inclusion. Do you also have special ed in different areas? You know,
Yeah.
are the classes, you know, segregated because of a
Right.
special ed
Right.
need?
So what I'll find out,
Okay.
Mr. Norris.
That's great. I
yeah.
mean, I think, and I'll tell you what, I've noticed the one thing, the RHS, I'm actually not surprised at that, because there have been several families that have moved out of town. Their kids were in Rockland Public Schools and have decided to just stay in Rockland Public Schools. The kids liked it, the kids don't want to change, it kind of, so I think that's been a great added benefit of having school choice, which we didn't do for, you know, for
Yeah.
years and years and years, so it's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
It's tough coming here from Worcester, though.
Yeah, and it's hard on those parents. I give a lot of credit to the parents who commit to it,
Get 'em here.
because it is a commitment. They have to, they're responsible for transportation, they have to drive here for all of the events, and so I
And
give
we've
them
had
a
many
lot
of them that have
credit.
been athletes, and they come for practice afterwards, and practice might not be till 3 hours after school is over, and
Yeah.
they're back and forth, so, yeah, the kids and the parents, it's a big commitment, but it's great.
Yeah.
So positive news in our enrollment numbers. Next on tonight's agenda, we have a request for approval for an out-of-country trip going to the country of Guatemala. Dr. Cron?
Yes, I would like to invite Ms. Shaughnessy and Ms. Lanigan to the podium to, I don't think I get up with this. I'm still learning, so. If I can walk around without tripping on that wire.
It's an honor to be before you guys tonight. This,
Can we get who everybody is?
Sorry.
Yes,
Your
could
voice.
you I'm sorry, could you introduce yourself?
Definitely.
Thank you.
My name is Miss Shaughnessy. I teach Spanish here at Rockland High School. This is Miss Lanigan, one of our history teachers, and Miss Rayberg, a class of 2011 alumni from Rockland High School.
Oh.
We are so excited to be before you guys tonight presenting a proposal for a service learning trip to Guatemala, scheduled to take place over April vacation of the year 2017. We did prepare a Google Slides situation for you guys, if that's okay that we kind of walk through it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It will be on- oh, sorry.
Sorry. It's going to be projected right over there. I know it's a little bit difficult for you guys to see it, so we will be sharing it with you after this.
Well, it is up there.
We definitely want to start by introducing Julia, and she can tell you a little bit more about her program. Julia, like we said, is a 2011 graduate who started her own nonprofit in Guatemala to run service exchanges and volunteers and things like that. So she's going to tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to get more in depth about the trip that we have planned out. Thank you.
Good evening, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Julia Rayberg, and I graduated from Rockland High School in 2011. I founded Worthy Village about 3.5 years ago now. Following a trip when I was 19, I went to Guatemala with UMass Dartmouth to do some hands-on work in the impoverished communities of a small region called Jalapa. And this trip was very transformative for me. It changed my life tremendously. The way I view the world, my objectives and what I want out of life, what I'm grateful for. As you can see, I was still in school when I began founding the organization. So Worthy Village is a registered 501c3 with a mission to build pathways out of poverty for women and children in Guatemala by providing economic opportunity, healthcare, and education. And we run multiple trips annually, offering anywhere from high school students to adults to come down to Guatemala and do some of this hands-on work. These trips are very near and dear to my heart because I went on a trip like this when I was 19, and like I said, it was very life-changing for me. And these trips are always described as life-changing for anyone who attends. We would like to talk to you guys about offering a trip like this to Rockland High School students. I wish so badly that when I was 17 or 18 years old, I was able to go on a trip like this, because when I was 19, it really changed my course of life, my path. And I think to have the opportunity to offer this sort of experience to students at the age of 17 and 18, I think is just very crucial and so important and very life-changing. So we're going to get a little bit more into details now. Thank you.
And to give you some background about why Mel and I, Ms. Shaughnessy and I, are so passionate about this, over this summer I worked for a State Department-run program to Mexico where I took high school students on an exchange, and I witnessed their transformation, and I would love to bring that sort of transformation, hands-on learning experience and cultural immersion to Rockland, and I've been just kind of dreaming about doing that ever since. And Ms. Shaughnessy has also done multiple service trips to Central America as well.
I've been to San Pedro Sula, Honduras 7 times since the age of 13. I spent my summers through high school and the beginning of college just really working in orphanages and kind of teaching young girls how to value themselves and how to better themselves for the future. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about how we're tying this particular trip to standards and curriculum a little bit later. So we can go ahead and move forward from this.
So the trips take place on Lake Atitlan. It's in the department of Solola, Guatemala. It's named the most beautiful lake in the world by National Geographic. It has 2 volcanoes, and it's surrounded by 13 impoverished villages that we work in each day. The trips take place, we reside in a village called Panajachel, which is somewhat touristy, extremely safe, but where we work, we are taking either a boat or a shuttle each day, private transportation, to a community that's impoverished, and we're working hands-on in those communities. And this up here you can see the view from our apartment.
And we'll get more in depth about our safety standards in the hotel later on in the presentation. So here's a little bit about the city of Panajachel, which is where I'll be staying. If you were to look up Guatemala on the State Department website or on Google, you might see a lot of statistics about crime and Zika, etc. However, Panajachel is very exempt from those statistics. Most of those statistics apply to Guatemala City, which is 4 hours away. So we'll be in Panajachel. It's a very small village located on the lake. It's a huge tourist attraction. There's also a huge number of American expats in Panajachel. Wait, can you go back? Sorry, one more. Thank you. So it has a very low crime rate. It has a large English-speaking population, both of native people who live there that know English just from all the tourists and the NGOs, and also Americans, and a lot of British people and Australian people actually are working there as well through the NGOs and through different expat programs. Panajachel, because it's such a tourist location, has a wide variety of restaurants that kind of cater to the gringo needs in terms of their food preparation. I know no one got sick on the trip I went on when I went to visit Julia's program, and Julia can attest that no one's ever gotten sick on any of her programs because of the quality of the food in the restaurants there and kind of the selection process that she goes through when she chooses where to take groups. It also has a very low crime rate. It's a very, very safe area. The people of Panajachil recognize that tourism and NGOs and different American and other groups are the primary source of their income. So they're very dedicated to keeping tourists safe and making tourists feel comfortable. And I can say I've honestly never felt safer than when I was in Panajachil. I've traveled extensively to Europe. I've taken groups to Europe. I've taken groups to Mexico. And Panajachil is definitely one of the safest places I've ever been. And in terms of Zika, Panajachil has a very high elevation. Mosquitoes that carry Zika breed in low elevation and high humidity and high temperature areas. Panajachil is very high up in the mountains, so when I was there I got no mosquito bites, and the breed of mosquito that actually carries Zika is not found there. It's actually more prevalent in Florida than it is there. So there are 0 reported cases of Zika in Panajachil, which I know is a concern for a lot of people traveling to Central America.
So one of the things that Worthy Village works really hard to do is provide clean water for families in need. Here in the slideshow, you guys can see the families carrying these large white buckets, which actually are water filters that provide clean water to families for up to 10 years. One of the things that we're going to be working really hard on this trip would be teaching our kids how to install them, how to train families in their usage, and also how they work, which is another way that we can tie it to standards with language and with science as well.
And this is going to be a wonderful leadership opportunity for the students because we are going to train them in the use of the water filters, and they are actually going to be teaching the families how to operate them. So the kids will be taking a huge hands-on leadership role in this trip through these water filtration projects. And then Julia can give us a little bit more information about kind of the water filtration, if you feel like it.
So most of the communities that we're working with do not have access to running water, let alone clean drinking water. So they're usually filling up buckets down at the lake, carrying them up to their home, which could take them an hour to an hour and a half up in the mountain to get to. And they're then consuming this water without any filtration process, which is causing a lot of waterborne illnesses, infant mortality, and a lot of severe illnesses and deaths. So providing them with something that costs only $35 and lasts 7 to 10 years is a life-saving gift for them. So to teach the students that all around the world, it's, you don't turn your faucet on and you can't just drink the water. It's not that simple. And then showing them how grateful someone can be for getting such a simple gift of clean drinking water. It's just a very transformative experience, and it's kind of how we base our trips around these water filtration systems and the delivery and installation of them.
So one of the other big important aspects of a trip to Central America is obviously the cultural immersion. On the slideshow here, you can see 2 artisans that work closely with Worthy Village. One of the things that the kids would be learning about would be how these beautiful hand-woven scarves and tops are made. Women and children make all of their clothing, hand-dye, weave, everything in Guatemala. And it would be a very interesting experience for our kids to see how those things are produced. One of the things that Worthy Village also does is they partner with the artisans, so they buy these items at wholesale, and then when they sell them here in the United States, all of the profits are returned back into healthcare initiatives and programs through Worthy Village.
So go ahead.
So one of the things that we are really interested in doing with this trip is pre-teaching workshops where the students would become familiar with any necessary vocabulary, cultural nuances, etc., in order to properly tour a Central American country. We have plans to travel to a local market where students will be able to bargain and use bargaining vocabulary with local artisans in a family-run market. We also have plans to potentially tour Mayan ruins. We could hike a volcano, kayak the lake, additionally participate in a Mayan ceremony, and really teach them about this culture that is, in all honesty, dying off, something that they might not see in their future if they don't learn about it now.
And another big part of this trip is about interacting with the community. So not only in our kind of day-to-day work with the filtration systems will we be interacting with the families, but we'll also be sharing meals with families, and just in the day-to-day interactions in the town with the community, we'll be working with them. We're not only going to be installing water filters there either. Each volunteer usually brings an extra suitcase full of donations, and I know classes in the past, I think last year Miss Shaughnessy's class, the year before that Miss Walsh's class, have collected donations for this program to send down to Julia's to send with Julia's volunteers. So students will be able to hand a child a stuffed animal that has never had a toy before, and give families toothbrushes and soap and things like that. And these small things really kind of light up the faces of the families, and it's really incredible to see what a small gift can do. And it's really important, I think, for students to have that experience and realize that, again, you can't just turn on your faucet and have clean water everywhere in the world, and that the life that we have here is really a gift.
Additionally, RHS students have actually already donated over 1,400 items to Worthy Village, between bottles of shampoo, bars of soap, and last year we did a huge tooth initiative where we donated toothpaste and toothbrushes to Worthy Village, which then Julia and her teams trained people how to use properly.
Another big part of the trip is, again, the market, because the market is such a cultural experience. Not only are we going to see traditional Mayan and indigenous artwork and products on display that are all handmade, but again, students are going to be able to practice their vocabulary. We have a lot on the market because we will spend some time there, and it's a big part of the cultural immersion, and also because we, the chaperones, we just want you guys to know that the students will never be alone in these areas, although they are very, very safe and very, secure, and it is safe for a student to walk around alone. They will be with us in small groups at all times. So again, these are local family artisans, and we're directly supporting and funding their children's education, their access to water with the money that we spend on their goods. This is an opportunity to practice Spanish with native speakers. And one thing that I noticed when I was in Guatemala at the market is everyone is very eager to practice English as well. So it's kind of this really awesome cultural exchange where everyone's teaching everybody. And I know that Mel plans on prepping the students beforehand with workshops on bargaining and numbers and shopping, and we're going to be prepping them with kind of cultural education on how to properly interact and things like that. But this is an experience I'm really excited for the students to have if they do go.
It's absolute cultural immersion, because not only will they be surrounded by Spanish, but they'll also be surrounded by the traditional Mayan dialect of Cachiquel, which is a very unknown language to most Americans, but is super common in the Mayan culture. So it really is a true example of complete cultural immersion.
So just a little bit on our accommodations. I can speak that I went to Guatemala kind of last minute to observe her program, and in Mexico, our accommodations were very traditional in the jungle and whatnot, so I kind of expected to be in like a small hut or something like that. Maybe that was my cultural ignorance. But we got there and I got to the hotel, and it's this beautiful, it's 2 towers. Yeah, you guys can see a little bit about it in the proposal. It's very highly rated on various different traveling websites. It has this beautiful view of the lake. There's actually a private chef that cooks breakfast for some of the rooms there, and it's very luxurious. Like it's like a place I've never stayed before. I could never afford to stay there in America. And they have Wi-Fi, they have a pool, and it's guarded 24 hours a day. And again, there's very little danger in this area, so there's almost no need of a guard. It's kind of like we know that Americans will be staying here, so we're going to put this there. And when I was there, I actually saw a lot of kind of families on vacation with their children, which I myself have never thought, like, let me go on a vacation to Guatemala before this, but people were actually there with their families on vacation and kind of touristing and stuff. And another important thing about the hotel is they do provide filtered water. They have these big filtered water containers that we're going to be using for cooking and drinking. And they do have screens on their windows and air conditioning, so even though Zika is not a threat, it's still another preventative measure against stuff like that.
And additionally, even though we're going to be supervising the kids outside of the hotel, at no point during the stay of the hotel, unless the children are in their rooms sleeping, will they be unsupervised. Be it at the pool, in the common areas, at meals, they would be with chaperones all of the time.
Yeah, we're going to get very friendly.
Yes.
So this is just a view from the hotel, from the windows. When you wake up in the morning, that's what you get to see. You see a beautiful volcano, and one of the most beautiful lakes in the world just greets you, which is amazing. And there's also a dock that leads out there and whatnot.
So going back to what we had talked about in the very beginning, one of the things, among other things, that we're very interested in doing is tying this service learning trip directly to educational standards. There are several ways that we could tie the trip: through water filtration, to science, through the complete cultural immersion, to language, as well as traveling to a foreign country, to history. Through all of this, we're actually hoping to apply for an REF grant to lower the cost for the students. So we're really kind of looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say in terms for that, because it's something that we both, or all of us, really feel is very valuable for a Rockland student.
Yeah, and I feel it's really important that students on this trip are not just tourists and not just there to kind of take pictures of beautiful sites, but they're actually going to be getting an education. This is going to be like a class for them. And the students that are selected and chosen to go on the trip are going to have to treat this like a class and almost like a job. We're going to work with them on daily journaling. I'm going to work with them on kind of the Latin American history relations in terms of Guatemala and immigration, which is so important given our current political and social climate. And again, it's going to be a great experience to learn kind of conversational Spanish and things like that. So we're working very hard to make sure that this trip is very educational and very service-oriented. So we are going to spend some time exploring the lake. There is some free time, but we're kind of looking at the free time in terms of engineered choice, whereas we'll give them maybe 3 options and the entire group will do one thing. So exploring the lake, what is going to happen is they're going to get a private boat all the time. There is public shuttle, like boat shuttles and things like that, but we're always going to be on a private boat. And we have multiple options of things that we can do, like hiking volcanoes, visiting other villages, visiting kind of Mayan ruins, and just kind of exploring the general area. So that's going to be one of the things we do as well.
So that kind of ties into the transportation. Most private boat rides are under 30 minutes, and we would use them especially traveling between villages when we are installing water filters and filtration systems.
And then in terms of getting around on land, there's a private shuttle, and Julia is very familiar with the company that runs the private shuttle. She's on a first-name basis and has a cell phone number of the guy who owns the shuttle. They'll be picking us up at the airport along with representatives from Worthy Village, and they will be responsible for all of our transportation to and from job sites. So the kids will have a private, it's like a minivan basically, is what it'll look like.
All transportation will always be private.
So one of the things that we mentioned in the proposal that has been put together for you are the health and safety standards that are necessary. All of our travelers need to have passports, but no visa is required. Additionally, they need to be up to date on common vaccines. As of right now, there is no vaccine for Zika, but as we've stated before, we will be having our kids practicing safe standards of wearing long sleeves at night, 100% deep mosquito spray, just having common sense when it comes to being outdoors.
But there's also no Zika in
Right.
the area. This
Yes.
is all like totally precautionary.
So students should also bring along with them Imodium in the case of a traveler's stomach. We haven't seen it yet, but in the event that it happens, it's always good to have a little bit on hand. And although PANA is extremely safe, travelers will be educated in common nuances and cultural issues that could probably not come up, but anything that the kids need to know about when communicating with local Mayans and families.
And there's also a hospital very close by, and having been on trips where things have gone very wrong, I know how important it is to have access to medical care and things like that. And we know that there's a hospital within 15 minutes. And again, safety and healthiness is going to be one of our top priorities. So, do you want to speak of the cost?
So the cost of the trip is about $1,200 to $1,300 depending, but we're going to try to keep it closer to $1,200 plus airfare for the students. And airfare is going to be between $400 and $600. I normally don't see it go over $550 ever, but I would like to get the flights booked as soon as possible for the students, considering that it is April vacation. So the cost of the trip, which is $1,200 plus airfare, it includes breakfast for the students, lunch, in-country transportation, and that's including to and from airport, translators, 24-hour security at the hotel, and then medical and evacuation insurance. So we require all of our volunteers to have traveler's insurance. We work with Patriot Medical Group. Each volunteer and chaperone is insured for up to $2 million in the case of a medical emergency, political unrest, or terrorism. There's a deductible of only $250 in that case.
And again, we're going to be working on several different ways to lower the cost for students. There are a number of fundraising opportunities that we're kind of thinking of, and that I know volunteers on Julia's trips have done before. And I'm also going to look into applying for some grants because of the service nature of this project and the educational nature that makes it kind of qualified for that stuff. And I think
At this point, I think if you guys have any questions that you'd like to pose, we're happy to answer those for you.
I'm sure you've got a
Yeah, I
few
got a couple.
questions, but
Yeah.
before we turn it over to these guys for questions, I just want to compliment you. Fantastic presentation,
Yeah,
ladies. Great
nice.
job.
Nice, good.
And secondly, Ms. Rayberg, must compliment you and commend you to have in only 5 years set up a 503c to doing something of just a great human service to somewhere else. Makes us proud as a Rockland School Committee to know that our graduates are going on doing such, positive human service trips like this. So congratulations on your organization. But I know the committee will have some specific questions about the trip. So, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm excited. Congratulations to all of you that we're kind of meeting the pillars of Rockland's goal to become culturally immersed and to have some more global initiatives. So it's nice to see a trip that's not that we don't love Italy and Spain and all those kind of, but to go to a third world country is very important to enlighten. The only thing you're going to get from me, the healthcare provider comes out in me, and I can't help it because I go on disaster missions myself. And I will say, before I was looking through, the first thing that jumped into my head is typhus and Hep A. And I'm going to say I know it's recommended, but I'm going to say as a healthcare provider, I hope that everyone gets it because you're talking about working with water, and water is one of the most largest vehicles for any type of issues. And I know you've gone there and you've done very well for yourselves, but you remember people are a little younger and kids are excited to go and you don't always follow where things are going. So I have a few of the health concerns. The Zika is less for me. I have not seen many in the last 2 years since it kind of came about. I work at a more internationally based hospital, so I would see more of it, but I am concerned with the general immunization status because our country is much more developed. So I would encourage everyone to get it, and I would hope that there are some, you mentioned it, healthcare discussions that are very pointedly had with the students before they go so that they really know how to care for themselves, because you get so excited when you're there, it goes out the window. And I know you all know that, but the vaccines just make me a little bit on the edge of I hope we are encouraging more than not, but I realize it's everybody's choice.
And we can definitely put that in the application process. We can make it a requirement that they visit a traveler's clinic, which is so easy to set up an appointment. They'll talk with their doctor. They'll get the necessary vaccines. I know my students that I took to Mexico this year, they were required to visit a traveler's clinic and required to bring, they brought their own prescription for antibiotics, which they checked in with us before they took. No one really got sick because we were very careful about the food, but there were a couple of very excited kids who wanted to try something and then immediately regretted it, and then we had the antibiotics on hand. And I'm first aid trained and CPR trained and wilderness and safety first aid trained, so I'm pretty familiar with like the process of everything and things like that, but we'll definitely put that in part of the application as, you need to have signed by a doctor that you visited a traveler's clinic.
That would be great. It takes the liability off you, and then the discussion is had with them in a very concrete way of whether they make their choices, because if opted out, who wants to get a shot? I get that, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job in the presentation. I just have about 5,000 questions.
Awesome. That's what we're here for.
What's the ratio of student to chaperones?
It's going to be either 6 to, so we're the teacher chaperones, and then Julia and her vice president Myra are with us at all times. They're staying in the hotel with us, they're traveling with us. So there's going to be 4 adults and 8 to 12 students. So it's either 3 or 2 to an adult.
Is there other treks going with you? Do you have other people? If you're all by yourself? Okay, you're not.
It's going to be just a Rockland trip. It's not like EF where they might combine the trips. It's just Rockland.
Okay. Talked about medical coverage and stuff like that. I like the idea about the cultural, inclusion. Water source. You go down and grab the water. You take it up there and you can take it with the filters. Where's the water source? And what do we? And do you measure? Do you test the output of the filtration systems?
Yes, so we are required to have the filters tested every 6 months.
Okay.
So the local health department does test the filters to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But in terms of the water source, depending on the village that we're working in, at times there's a source of running water up halfway through the mountain. At times you have to get it from the lake, but that's very rare. In the case where a family doesn't have running water in the home, which is more often than not, we would go to the local area where the running water is and just gather it there.
Right, and you talk about running water, is the water moving not running water by church? Oh, it's a faucet, okay. Because the last time I was in Honduras, there was some crazy stuff floating down the river.
Yeah, I wouldn't be bringing them into that sort of area.
Okay.
Yeah, and in terms of for the students are going to have access to like those big giant water bottles at all times. We're going to have clean. The water filters are totally safe if they needed to use them, but we're going to have clean and bottled water for them at all times.
Okay. How about? Go ahead.
That would be part of the pre-teaching workshop, as well as teaching them how to safely brush your teeth. Something that people don't think about. You can't just stick your toothbrush under the water.
You can't open your mouth in the shower.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Hygiene. Shower, water source for the showers. Is the same place?
In the hotel, it's actually filtered. So when you go to the hotel, you take a shower. It's filtered through, but you still don't want to open your mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not potable.
But bathing is fine.
Okay. All right. All right, well, that's enough of me for now.
Mr. Phelps, do you?
What age group is this going to be open to?
I have one.
So we're going to look at juniors and seniors. Because of the nature of the trip, we want to make sure the kids are a little bit more mature. So again, we're looking at juniors and seniors to go.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I have some real huge concerns. I've traveled in Central America and Mexico, and I know you say it's safe. Okay, I just have, and it's third world countries. We're not, I don't think we sent people or okay trips to third world countries. Nothing against a third world country, but we're talking about our kids here. I want to see a whole lot more of what's behind the three of you.
So in terms of traveling and safety experience,
I want to see if something bad happens, what happens. We've had experience, unfortunately, in that area. Fortunately, the backup was extremely strong. I want to know that there is extremely strong backup. Nothing against the three of you, but we're sending 8 to 12 kids. The way I read this, they're paying a substantial amount of money. The way I read this, you're talking $2,000 or more each one. I know you're going to try to get it down, but you're talking $2,000 or more. I have strong concerns. I've traveled in this area, so I know about septic running down the gutters. I've seen the babies in the streets. I've seen people selling babies. I've seen them carving meat off the back of a pickup truck with flies on it. I've seen all this stuff, so I have strong concerns.
Well, I think all you can really do is take the proper precautions. In terms of an emergency, we do have the highest medical and evacuation insurance that you can have.
Insurance is fine, but insurance is going to help you. Sometimes, I've been into hospitals, not all down there, but I've been to a hospital in Bermuda, but I wouldn't bring my kid. I'm sorry.
Well, in case of a medical emergency, we would want to med flight them to the United States, which the insurance would cover.
I just worry. Okay, I'm sorry, you need to know I have some concerns.
So I can speak to the medical concerns as well. Like having been on the trip in Greece where we did have a medical emergency, and I was part of the response team, I can tell you that I am fully prepared to respond to emergency. I can also speak to the fact that the medical situation in Greece was not wonderful. It took the ambulance half an hour to
True, but
get
was
there.
it better than where you're going?
I honestly don't think so. When
Really?
I was in Mexico, I took a couple students ended up getting like dehydrated because they weren't drinking enough water, and we took them to the hospital. And honestly, the hospital was very similar to Quincy Hospital, and I think that the hospital that we would take them to, which is 10 minutes away, Julia has a lot of experience in the area. There's a number of NGOs that operate in the area that provide very high quality medical care that are run by kind of Americans. And I do understand the safety concerns, but I think that those concerns are valid anywhere in the world. And I do think that based on all of our travel experience, we'll be able to handle any emergency. In terms of crime and things like that, as long as you practice common sense when you're traveling, you're generally fine in this area. But I do understand your concerns in terms of like medical and safety, having been in that position. And I can only say that having been through that and having, the experience that we had in Greece, there are some emergencies that you're prepared for, you're ready for, but you just can't prevent them from happening. And I think that based on the location of the hospital, which is 10 minutes away from where we're going to be, and based on all of our first aid training, the children will be as safe as they were if we were traveling to a service project in, say, West Virginia.
If I can tack onto that a little bit too, a lot of the crime statistics, if you look anything up on the internet, when they talk about Guatemala as a whole, is really just talking about the city of Guatemala. Pana is actually 4 hours outside of the city. So it's definitely a little way further removed from the city of Guatemala where most of those crime stats are coming from.
And then in terms of kind of like the septic in the streets and things like that, I didn't really see any of that in Pana when I was there. However, we are going to brief the children.
Where do they go to the bathroom?
They go in a regular bathroom. There's
In
toilets.
their house, without running water?
So in a house without running water,
And most of the homes don't have running water, so you said.
So normally what I'm trying to think, because we like never had to use the bathroom in those homes.
There are
but
situations where we are visiting homes that have, they do not have a toilet, they have
Right.
a hole in the ground.
Right.
Which is very unsanitary, yes. But the volunteers are prepped on how to handle those situations. We encourage, constant Germ-X, and things like that. But you had mentioned some really severe situations that they're going to see. And there's no denying that. They are going to see that. But I feel that is the part of the life.
They're not going to just see it, they're going to be experiencing it.
They are
and
going to.
living amongst it.
Yes.
Except at night when they go to this very nice hotel.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty in this work. That's the transformative experience. And when you're exposed to those conditions and you see this type of poverty, you have a gratefulness. You go home with a gratefulness that you've never had before. Your objectives in life change. The way you perceive the world changes. And all those really difficult things to see are what's the most important part of trips like this, I feel.
in terms of exposure and access, for the most part, most of the day they're going to have access to a toilet that flushes, and running water where they can wash their hands. And a lot of the families at the homes that we're going to, Julia's familiar with their families and things like that, so we can even prep them and say, like, listen, this home doesn't have a toilet, so for 3 hours you might not want to use the bathroom. You can use their hole if you want to, but you might not want to. So we can just say to them, use the bathroom before you go. And honestly, we spend the trips that we take into the communities and into the homes, they're usually only about 3 hours a day that we're working in these homes. So usually it doesn't come up that you have to use their facilities. And we're in the town in Panajachil, the restaurants are very developed, everything's developed, and they have bathrooms.
Mr. Norris?
So I maybe not as much as Mr. Phelps is concerned, but I would like to see, I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not prepared to make a decision now because I'd like to see, I've been to South Africa several times, and I know if you check the stats in South Africa, the crime rate is horrible. I've gone to Cape Town, I've never been to Johannesburg. Johannesburg, they have 12-foot fences around their house. Cape Town, it's beautiful. They love Americans, it's very, very safe. So I understand that there are different parts of the country. I also have a concern, a couple things on here. Number one, this trip, kind of the question of when you're going to go. I know, Ms. Lanigan, you've gone with Ms. Walsh before and are familiar with the fact that we've gotten to Ms. Walsh about these April vacations, about kids not missing, maybe more than a day of school, which becomes a concern. But I also would like to see this whole application of what is specifically going to be asked of these kids on the application, what the requirements are going to go to. And I guess that's more so that I know that every kid will have an opportunity to go there. In the past, there's been questions about, this group of kids can't go and this group of kids can't go. This is Rockland Public Schools.
Just having this conversation about how we want this to be a very open trip. We're going to kind of remove the academic requirement for the trip, because really we want to target students who kind of need this experience to turn them around and change their life in the way that it changed Julia's, and the way that it changed mine and the students that I took with me, and the way that similar trips changed Mel's life. So in terms of academics, we're not going to be excluding kids based on academics unless it's really, really a bad situation and they need to be spending April vacation like focusing on work. What we're going to look for is worth ethic and behavior. So we're going to look for references from teachers or from a coach or a boss or something that can demonstrate that the student has a work ethic, because we are going to be working very hard. We're going to be looking at behavior of the students in school. We're looking for students that are well-behaved, respectful, and can operate in a culture of this nature. And then we're basically going to be looking for students who kind of recognize our purpose. We're going to have them write an essay kind of describing why they want to do this and what they expect to get out of it. And we're going to try and find students that are just as passionate about this as we are.
So I guess what I'm getting at, though, is I'd like to see that.
Yeah, we can
have
that for you.
And then lastly, Ms. Walsh has always done a great job. Obviously, she goes to a company with these people. My daughter went to Australia. She was able to pay for that long period of time. I'd like to see maybe if we could have a plan drawn up before we approve this of, okay, this is whatever, $1,600. I don't know, maybe one of my kids is interested, but I'd like to know that I have a payment plan that Ms. Lanning is not going to come to one of my kids and say, I need a check for $1,500 tomorrow.
So I think Julia can speak a little bit to the payment plan that her company uses.
Yeah, so we're required to have everyone paid in full 30 days prior to leaving. But in terms of payment, we are very open and very flexible. We do not set a payment plan at all. They can pay however they would like starting today through 30 days prior to departure. They can pay $50 a week. They can pay $100 or less. It doesn't matter.
And if it's better for the high school students to have more structure, we can structure a payment plan of, you have your $150 deposit.
Parents would like to know that there is, that availability
Yep.
is there. because
We can do that. We can structure
I
a
mean,
payment
I might say, all
plan.
right, great, you can go, but 6 months from now, I gotta remember that I gotta come up with $1,500.
Right.
that
Yeah.
I
So we
could
can
be
do a
paying you
weekly
$50 a
or-
week for now.
Yeah, we can do a weekly payment plan.
Now, are you ladies going to be making the selection of the applications, or is there going to be someone else who's going to be making that selection?
So we're going to work together to select applicants, and I think Mr. Harrison would probably, as a principal, be involved in that selection. We're also going to be talking to other teachers and really getting a sense of the students that we're bringing. And Julia will probably want to review some of the applications as well. So it's definitely going to be a team effort and selection process.
What's the ceiling?
Huh?
How many students are you gonna, allow?
She's at 8, I
8
think.
to 12.
8 to 12?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying to keep a very small ratio.
I have, can I ask another
Please.
question? All right.
I don't know that was coming.
Well, I have more questions. Okay. When you were talking about if there's something happens, you're only 10 minutes away. Well, that doesn't sound like it's, if you're out in the, visiting, homes and stuff like that, that's more than 10 minutes away. What's the radius from your base that you're looking at? Is it 2, 3, 4, 5 hours away?
That's a great question. We're never going to be more than 45 minutes away.
Okay.
That's the maximum that will be.
Okay. So what's the evacuation assets that you have?
So in the case of an emergency, the insurance would cover a med flight to the local hospital in the city, and then we could actually get, and if they weren't able to take care of the situation there, and if they wanted to be flighted to the
Escalate,
US,
yeah.
we could then go there. And
But
I think
I'm even looking at for local assets. I'm looking for if somebody breaks their leg, falling down, just carrying buckets of water.
Yep.
Yep. And you're 45 minutes away from wherever. How do you get them out of that area?
we would take the transportation that is with us that day directly to the hospital.
Because we would have that private shuttle with us on all work
Oh, right,
excursions.
okay.
Yes.
So-
So you all go.
As well
So
as the
you know how to
driver.
put splints on in case you broke a leg,
Sorry?
You know how to put a splint on, if you
I
broke
can do
something?
all of that.
Okay, all right, you're all certified in that? Okay,
Yes.
You're certified in that. Okay,
Yeah.
so what if, and I'm just scenario.
He's not going anywhere.
I've
I can,
seen
like,
these
splint you
things,
for
okay?
practice if you
What I'm
want.
saying is that if you, okay, so you're the asset that's going in, so what happens would you travel with that student?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
We
then
would
what happens
never.
if somebody else gets hurt?
I think you'd all have to.
I think we'd honestly, if
Okay.
someone broke their leg, we're all getting in the
Everybody.
shuttle and taking a family
Roger
trip to the
that, that's what I
hospital.
want.
There would never be a situation where children would be left alone or without transportation out. So
Okay.
if I can tell you now, if one student got hurt, I wouldn't be comfortable saying bye.
Yeah.
You guys wait. We're
Yeah.
all jumping in the van. We're all going.
Okay. Okay.
I think we're all very impressed with the humanity and the service nature of your trip, and we don't necessarily mean to give you the third degree personally here, but
I'm happy you're doing it.
But we're making decisions based upon the wellness and welfare of our children. We all want to make sure we cover every single base. So as you can see, I think the committee does have some more questions, and we'd love to be able to have you get back to us on that, and then we can move forward.
I'd
Any
like to
other
make a
questions?
motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks very much,
Thank you.
ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Nice to see you.
Next on tonight's agenda, we have fundraisers for July 2016 through June 2017 for approval. We have 17 in total. We have 5 from Rockland High School. We have the senior class doing a fundraiser at Not Your Average Joe's, the bake sale for the Environmental Club, the cheerleaders will be having a Halloween party, the gift card sales for the Music Boosters, Travel Club will be having a mixed bag sale. The preschool PAC is going to be having 3 fundraisers, the cookie dough sale, a money calendar sale, and a silent auction. The Eston PACs are going to be having 7 fundraisers, Dining for a Cause, Book Fair, Day of Shopping, Name the Circle, Hilliard's Candy and Ice Cream Social, as well as a silent auction and baskets, and a walkathon in May. Do we have 17 motions for approval?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's a vote. Thank you very much. Next on tonight's agenda, we have a very special new permanent guest with us this evening, and I know Dr. Alan Cron will have a little bit to talk about. Shannon.
Shannon, we are thrilled to have you. Shannon is currently the Vice President of the Rockland High School Student Government. Actually, I don't know if Principal Harrison has anything that he would like to say. I know he's met with Shannon and was involved in the conversations.
Please.
Would you like to step up to tell us a little bit about?
Good evening. I'll actually let Shannon talk a little bit about her background, since that was one of the things she was planning to do. But Mr. Biggins, Shannon and myself met last week or earlier this week, and we had a great conversation about Shannon's role. Shannon is a senior. She's the Student Government Council Vice President, and I'll let her talk about what that role entails. In my short time here in Rockland, it's very impressive how big and how much of an influence our Student Government Council has. So she's going to be a great rep for the students. We've informed the community in our last week's weekly update to parents and students. So Shannon is now our representative to the school committee, and students should feel free to use her as a great voice and a great gap between the school committee and students. So she'll fill that tremendously. Good?
Well, we had, before we get to meet Shannon just for a second, we've had been blessed to have student representatives here at our meetings in the past. Not always at the most consistent basis. We've had a different student in the past. Some weeks we didn't necessarily have a student. And in conversations with Dr. Cron and John Retchless last year, we agreed that it might be a good step to have a permanent representative of the student body. First of all, to give the student body the benefit of having a relationship with a student, to be able to bring concerns and questions to school committee. But we hope it'll be of great benefit to Shannon as well, to be able to gain some experience about how our school district is run, about how town government is run, and for her to be able to be a positive rep for her peers. So I guess we'd love to hear from you, Shannon.
Yeah, so my name is Shannon Lindahl. I've been on student government since my freshman year. This year I'm the vice president, and that with student government we have an executive board that features 4 committees that run most of the events at school each year, like Powder Puff, the breast cancer walk, all of those things. So I'm here to basically be the voice between the school committee board and everyone at school. Mr. Harrison sent out an email telling everybody that I am that voice, and kids have been coming up to me and asking me what are you gonna do? And I just told them that I'm gonna be that voice between the two. I'm also a member of National Honor Society, and we plan some events for school too. Yeah.
Great.
Questions from the committee for Shannon?
I just encourage you to involve yourself in the meetings. I think it's great. I think this will be, there'll be some continuity finally. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that there's going to be a single representative, and bring us information that you think we need to know.
Bring us questions. If they have questions, bring them. Bring another student, put them out there, make them come down. Stand up there.
And
ask the
definitely
questions.
speak up. Our decisions make impacts on you, so don't feel like even if we've made a decision that you can't say anything about it, good or bad, because we need to know how it is affecting. So
we talked a little bit in our meeting about how last year we had the well-intentioned idea about making a change to the Grand March last year. And I think that had we had the benefit of having a representative of SGC here, we might have known before we took a vote that we later changed that the students had some different ideas. And I think that was just one example of where a permanent student rep would be a great benefit to the kids, but also to us to be able to make the best informed decisions we can, and to be able to work well with the students at Rockland High School.
Great example, Ben.
Yeah, I was thinking I would kind of go to each student government meeting, kind of inform them of what we talked about here, and see if anyone had any ideas or concerns or anything.
Perfect.
We had talked some about having just a standing report each meeting, if you could share with us, a few things that are important to the students. And just on another note, Shannon is a quiet student who is very well respected by her peers, but also teachers. So I got a chance to hear teachers talk about her, and I think you're the perfect person for this role, so I'm very glad that you're with us.
Happy to be here.
Great. Too.
Great.
And, I think that's great about the monthly reports, and some things we look to hear about is, maybe there's a student, a peer of yours that's had a recent accomplishment that you want to have highlighted, or maybe the football team or the band has won a recent competition. We'd love to hear about all the great things happening with students here at the school, or maybe challenges that are even going on in your monthly reports. So we'll look forward to hearing those from you, and look forward to seeing you every other Monday night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Well,
So you put that in your calendar, right? Every other Monday night, except when
he's going to need you to tell him on a calendar.
except when there's a holiday like Christopher Columbus Day or something like that. If it happens to be on a Monday, we show up on Tuesday. Your calendar's clear for Tuesday.
Yep,
so-
I got the
okay.
whole list for
You
you.
got the whole thing.
Roger that. That's
She'll be
great.
here better than we will.
Well, thank you again, Shannon. Next up on tonight's agenda, we have with us tonight our daycare director, our new daycare director, Ms. Janet Tait, and she's here to talk to us tonight a little bit about introducing herself and her new role at the daycare.
I'd first like to thank Colleen for inviting me here tonight. This is a great opportunity. I had to write a lot of these things down because there's just been so many things going on at the daycare. I'm pleased to report that. I have officially been working as the daycare director for about a month and a half, starting in August. It's been a lot of hard work, but I've truly enjoyed the challenge. I think I have made a smooth transition for the staff and for the families. We have been receiving a lot of positive feedback on the many changes that have been made. With the change in leadership, Marissa Baldessari and I have begun a complete transformation of the office. We have upgraded and updated most of the files and documents, and we are implementing new policies and procedures for payment plans. We have done a complete rearrangement of the office, making it a very welcoming environment. Although there is still much more to do, I am quite pleased with our progress at this time. We currently have 89 children enrolled in the program, and we have put out a waiting list for 2 of our classrooms, the nursery room and the infant room. I am exploring the option of taking back the closed classroom and opening a second nursery/preschool room depending on the ages. I am cautious of doing this, and I will not take the risk unless I have a guarantee of 10 children to make it worth our while. One of the challenges I have been facing is finding certified staff to work in our center. To ensure the best quality of care for our children, I am trying to only use certified staff. I have encouraged our staff presently to continue with their education and begin their 16 hours of professional development. I am pleased to say that many of the staff have enrolled in college courses online or have been starting to continue with their CDA certifications. We are having a training for mandated reporters given by a member of the Department of Children and Families, and I would like to thank Freya Leahy for this opportunity and her support in this area. The children's well-being is our #1 concern, and having a support system when making the difficult choice to file is a very difficult one, and it's helpful to have the support of the whole team. I am setting up a training with Ethan Schnabel for November to help train the staff in difficult workplace situations, such as dealing with a parent that may be under the influence, restraining orders, and other issues that may arise in the center. I strongly believe that using our town resources and meeting people who are trained in these areas can only make us more knowledgeable, confident, and stronger as a team. We had our first staff meeting at the beginning of the month, and I think that overall, the staff are truly happy to be committed to making the daycare as amazing as it can be. I have enjoyed seeing them work in their classrooms, making updates, and setting up for the fall. The $20,000 that was given by the town has been put to good use. The infant room has completely updated all of their cribs, mats, furniture, and many new toys. This was very much needed and came at a great time. Each classroom had an opportunity to purchase and upgrade toys and equipment, and I have enjoyed watching the orders come in and the children playing with the new toys. We have upgraded our playground equipment, and all of our structures are in good repair. I will be doing a walkthrough of the classrooms next month to see what areas need to be built upon in each room. I personally would like to see the dramatic play and science areas strengthened. As we know, children at these ages learn through so much through play, and giving them new materials helps them to facilitate this process. We are forming a PAC and getting ready to do a Fall Yankee Candle fundraiser. The funds will be used for busing for a pumpkin pick day, the Enchanted Village, and a play day or 2 over at the Hardstuff Park Playground. I am working with Jean Bellany from the Youth Commission to explore a grant for multicultural entertainers to come into our building and perform for the whole building. We are using the Rockland Public Library as an aid in this project. The preschool and pre-K rooms are doing a story time and getting their own library cards. Erin has been a great help to our programs. Jean and I are also trying to partner up for a healthy snacks program through Adele. I am offering a healthy snack and nutrition class in October to all staff. The goal of this training is to help teach healthy eating habits, food experiments, and light cooking projects to enrich the classroom curriculum. Working with the Youth Commission benefits our building as a whole, and I am pleased that we are sharing many of the same common goals. I would like to thank the daycare staff, families, and many of the Rockland School employees who have encouraged and supported me in my new role as the director. And I would again like to thank Dr. Cron and Colleen Forlizzi for giving me this opportunity. I look forward to working hard and making the Rockland Daycare a true asset to the town of Rockland. The staff would like to extend an invitation to all of you to see the hard work that has gone into the center. And again, thank you for taking the time to help us all get into a better place financially and to help keep us going strong.
Great. Thank
Do you have any questions?
Questions from the committee?
Glad all's going well.
Got a lot going already.
I'd just like to say that Janet has done a great job. She's brought a lot of enthusiasm. She has great ideas, new programs, classes, and we're very happy to have her. Great job.
Thank you.
Seems to be a lot of excitement in the air. That's great.
Yes.
Thank you,
Good
Mrs.
job.
Tait. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last on tonight's agenda is public service announcements. Mrs. Henderson.
The flu is going to be upon us. We've had some positive cases this summer, me being one of them. Please get your flu shot. It is miserable. I know. Who would have thought in the summertime? So get your flu shot.
Mr. Mills.
I have nothing right now. I know.
Mr. Norris.
Back in school, I think it's fantastic. Everything seems to be going well. All the sports are back in, the soccer team, cross country. Football has their first home game on Friday night against Abington. So come out, they won on Friday night 28-7 in Cohasset. I think the soccer team is, the boys are, what are they, 3-0?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them.
I think
Yeah,
they
I
won
believe
again today.
They
So
beat Carver, I think.
yeah, they beat Carver today 2-1. So everything's going great. Come out and support the kids. I mean, they are our future. They really look forward to you coming out and seeing them. So we hope to see you at one of the games.
Ms. Phelps.
Just that I made my annual official visit to all the buildings just before school started, and I have to tell you, the taxpayers of Rockland, your property is in good shape. It truly is. They've done a remarkable job over the summer, updating and polishing these buildings. The newer ones, not so hard. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure they work hard. But the older ones, a lot of work. A lot of needed changes were made in the areas of the bathrooms and in some of the hallways and so on. But your property is in fine shape. Your custodial staff, your maintenance staff are happy people, proud people, people that are working very, very hard for you. Had a chance to meet with our head of maintenance, Mark Shum, extremely happy individual, extremely knowledgeable individual. He's got his arms around all this new technology that in these new schools, the middle school and the high school. I feel very, very confident with him at the helm. So I just want people to know that.
Myself, I just wanted to note that I had the chance to attend the annual Rockland Cares Vigil last week. It was their 6th annual vigil. This was the first vigil, I think, really around in our area that was anything like it. The Rockland Cares organization has done a lot to raise awareness and to lower the stigma of the opioid epidemic we're all dealing with here on the South Shore. The vigil they had the other night had between 400 and 500 people at it, and it was just another great example of Rockland people getting together to support each other and tell each other that we care. Unfortunately, we're still in the worst of this thing, and events like that and people like the organizers at Rockland Cares are what's going to get us over the hump and hopefully finally try to make some progress against the epidemic of opioid abuse. With that, that's all I have, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much. Have a great night.